Right, so we're starting stripping the Unimog today to take the cab off, the electrical wiring out of the cab, all the components that needs to get off and out of the cab so we can lift it off. We'll start with taking out the cluster, removing the fuse box, marking all the wiring that came off the gauges. Yeah, there's not a lot of electrical stuff in this cab. It's basically the cluster, the fuse box. The customer's got a couple of USBs and a voltmeter on that side, wiper system, router system, air brake buttons on here that you also have to remove and relocate to the F250 cab. Ultimately, all that gauges there, we'll see how much we can salvage of them. It has to go onto a F250 instrument cluster. So if you look at it, the Ford's got a standard oil pressure and fuel gauge and a voltmeter. That voltmeter will go. So most of our cars today do have a charging system that runs with a light. There you go. So that's obviously your charging light, and if you start the vehicle, it must go off. Right, so that voltmeter will go. We'll keep the fuel gauge in that position, new temperature gauge, and of course a new oil pressure as well. Customer wants us to keep its standard speedo possible. The needle is broken, so we're gonna have to see if we can repair that. And then obviously your standard indication left and right there. We're probably going to incorporate the wiper switch that sits there, if I'm correct. So probably going to put the wiper switch there, like on the Fords. The alternator light bulb will probably go there on a new LED or LED light that will go in there. So yeah, our biggest problem probably going to be our speedo. Obviously this one is a lot bigger than this one in here. So we'll see how we're going to incorporate that onto the F250 cab. Right, let's have a look at the wiring that goes into the cab. Quite a big harness going in towards the instrument cluster. Obviously wiring going down. There I can see the oil pressure center unit down there. And at the back of it is the starter motor. We'll come back to it now. Loom running down here. Router system down there, up there. Wiring going down. Some couple of earths you can see. Obviously your standard headlights on the Unimog. Couple of nice LED spotlights aftermarket. So that wiring should also take out. Let's just go back to underneath here. The wiring comes down from the cab, and then wiring goes up back into the cab. Up there, some thick positive wiring going down there. So I always thought, where is the battery on this truck? So we found it. So I've took out the passenger seat, and it is underneath the seat. Let's get a light first there. Yeah, so the customer's got 2 batteries in the truck. Quite a big deep cycle Bosch calcium battery in there. I see at the back they've got like an isolator switch. The voltmeter inside the cab shows 12.7 volts. All the customer's USBs down here all run on 12 volt. Alright, so there's not a lot of stuff that we have to disconnect, just the top stuff in the cab. To get the wirings, I'm going to pull the wirings out of the cab after I've marked it. And yeah, it's pretty much standard wiring, nothing too difficult. all that wiring will go back into place onto the F250 cluster, switches to the dashboard. Yeah, let's see, it's quite early in the morning still, and let's see by tonight where I am. Alright, so it's the end of the day and the loom has been successfully taken out. The cluster, get it out here. So yeah, in there, quite a big loom, standard loom that's in the Unimog with all the extra loom and wiring that was fitted in this thing. Kept me a bit busy. So that loom there is basically all the USB ports and voltmeter and so forth. The fuse box was not the original fuse box, that was like a pirate, well, aftermarket fuse box that the customer fitted, which runs off for the fuses for the USB and USB plugs. So, and then there's also a fuse that supply the fuel pump. Yeah, so all that stuff is disconnected. So that's the instrument cluster I talked about. On the back, pretty much standard tiles, plugs. Right, let's have a look at the loom at the bottom. Right, so yeah, like I said, the majority of the big loom came through there from the instrument cluster. We've taken off the grill and slash small bonnet. Yeah, this is the whole loom. They came out of the cab. This wiring, it goes to your headlights. Yeah, this is the original fuse box it's got in, still old. So we'll see, maybe we can convert it to a blade fuse box. Ignition. So tomorrow we're going to lift this cap off this chassis, and that's gonna look it's gonna look, I don't know how it's gonna look, but anyway. All right.